In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill's Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we have a Bears early bye week, but we have Cubs playoff baseball and more. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. The season is just right around the corner, so make sure you head on over to icehogs.com. Get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing pretty good. It was a really nice day today. I spent time hiking. I enjoyed the hell out of winning the first series, the Cubs, in the wild card round. Though game one of the NLDS was not fun, and I know we're going to talk about that. That's the only down thing. Everything else is pretty good. And hey, there was no Bears game this week, so uh, I miss a Bears game, but at least they couldn't lose this week. So that's good, right?
That is the true Chicago spirit right there, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Though I looked at the slate of games because I do pick'ems, I'm in three fantasy leagues, and I'm like, okay, a lot of shitty games, whatever. And there ended up being a lot of crazy games, a lot of last minute comebacks, a lot of upsets. Crazy week in the NFL. It just goes to show no matter the matchup, you could get something good happening.
Yeah, I watched the early game, the early game in Europe. Um,
Ugh.
and that was a bad game. I feel bad. That Browns defense is pretty good.
Yep, it is. But like many Bears teams, it can only hold up for so long.
I there's a certain player on that Browns defense that I would cut off any one of my toes to have on the Bears right now.
You're talking about Miles Garrett, right?
I'm talking about Myles Garrett.
Yeah. No, who wouldn't want Miles Garrett on there? Could you imagine if the Bears had Miles Garrett and it's like you can actually point to the Bears defense and say, "Hey, we're confident in getting pass rush here." And I would believe is if you had Miles Garrett, it would make Montez Sweat all that much better.
A healthy Jalen Johnson and Myles Garrett. This defense would be pretty darn good.
Add in a Kyler Gordon, add
Hmm.
in TJ
Austin,
Edwards,
an
Austin
Austin Booker.
Booker. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not the way it is. So we we can just wish and hope and dream. But that was a terrible game, and that Vikings team is not that good.
No, I mean they scratched it out, but Carson Wentz is doing what he can. But yeah, no, I mean they didn't look very. I didn't really see much of the game, but I could see that for much of the game they didn't look spectacular throughout it.
When
So
when Carson Wentz went out hurt, I was like, oh man, this team is gonna be bad. Because they only had two active quarterbacks today,
yeah,
and
uh-huh.
and Wentz came back. Didn't look like he was feeling good. Um, I would say it looked like he was hurt but not injured
Yes.
because he was wincing every time he did anything.
Mm-hmm.
He took a nasty shot. Um, but yeah, that I don't think that either one of those teams is very good. Um, I'm glad we don't have to play the Browns because they're not good, but that defense is pretty darn good, and I don't want to have to face that. If right now, if the Bears are gonna play somebody that's good, I'd rather that be a good offense with a bad defense, so we can, you know, hopefully just eke out enough defense to win those games. I'd rather lose a shootout than have one of those situations where the Bears offense just looks like hot doo doo.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was also looking over today's games and everything that's been happening, and you know, the Bears, in my opinion, are still not a contender, but if you could at least keep trending and make yourself more competitive, I don't know if you start scaling some of these lesser teams. Could you maybe add a running back? Could you maybe add another piece to kind of help things move forward? Because I really do think that part of Caleb Williams' development and just this development as a whole of this offense, you need a better run game. Just regardless, even if you're not trying to win a Super Bowl this year, so much of this year hinges on getting this offense to work and growing Caleb Williams. And a big part of that is establishing a run. So, do you go to the Jets for a Brees Hall? The Jets are the worst team in football, I would say, right? Like,
You know, we keep talking about the Saints, but the Saints won today and they looked pretty darn good. And when you start digging deeper, like Spencer Rattler has gotten better every week for the last couple weeks. So are they good? No, but they're at least an NFL caliber team. Um, the I hate to say this. Uh, Justin Fields holds that team back. I mean, that offense is not good, and it's not all his fault, but there is no vertical passing game. Everything is underneath and runs,
yep.
and it's the same thing that happened with the Bears. If you can't stretch that field, it makes it harder to do anything, and it doesn't make it impossible because a really good team can impose their will on you. But if if you're not an elite team, you've got to find a way to stretch that field. And Justin Field doesn't go deep with balls. He makes some exciting runs, and he's able to create time in the pocket. But he doesn't like throwing in the middle, and he doesn't throw deep balls. And that offense just sputters.
Well, and here's the thing too is, and again, I don't want to pile on him either, but if you look at the last two games, if you actually sit and watch the games, you will see how the offense struggled with him under center. Now, you're going to look at the point totals and you're going to look at the final stats in the box score. You'll be like, oh, well, he threw for 280 yards, two touchdowns. That's not so bad. Look, the last two games, so much of his production was just flat out garbage time. You're going to look at his yards and passing touchdowns today, and you're going to be like, well, he didn't look so bad. It's like, no, they were trailing what, like 23-3, like late in the third quarter. The game was over. And it was a similar thing last week with the Dolphins. Now, they got close enough where they had somewhat of a chance against the Dolphins, but I mean, today truly they were down and out for the count, and that's when they kind of just started dinking and dunking some, check downs and started piling up the stats. But I mean, overall, you look at some of the things you saw with the Bears and you're like, yeah, you don't really miss it. And right now, I'm glad we have Caleb Williams. I'll just say that.
I'm going to say this is based on current iteration. And, this will change on a dime at a certain point. But based on the current iteration, the worst football team in the NFL is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That
without Joe Burrow.
Without Joe Burrow, that team is horseshit. That team is bad.
They don't look like they even belong in this league.
No.
Who's that starting quarterback even? What's
Jake
his
Browning.
name? Is he legitimately one of the best or one of the worst starting quarterbacks we've ever seen?
He's terrible. He's real bad. Um, I mean, they're bad. Titans are bad, but
Do you see what happened today?
no, I didn't.
You see they came back and won?
They did.
Did you know?
I,
Wow, it was
I
a
was I was running
historic.
errands, so I ran. I watched like up till the early game. I didn't see any of the scores.
Well,
No.
let me give you a little recap. Is they were up 21 to 6. The Cardinals were in the
Yeah,
fourth quarter.
that's the last time I saw it. They were getting, their ass kicked.
So, with 12 minutes and 40 seconds to go, they run off what looks like to be a touchdown to make it 28 to 6, or at least 27 to 6, pending an extra point. But guess what happened again? The guy runs it, and right
Drop.
before the goal line, he lets go.
No.
Yes.
Who was it?
Oh, who was it? What's his name? Oh, let me find it. But
Oh,
it was like a 70 some yard run or something like that. Oh, I'm trying to find who it was. Oh, Amari DiMercato.
oh my God. That's terrible. Can you just imagine having to deal with Ben Johnson for the rest of the season, knowing you did that?
I think he would actually like eat your face. Like his jaw would unhinge. Like he'd look at you with his bottom teeth showing in that crazy eye. It's gonna be like silent for a minute as he stares at you, and then he'll just unhinge his mouth like a snake and eat your face.
God, that's I don't I mean, I know it's happened, but at once it's happened once, that should just never happen to anybody ever again. I mean, it's one thing if like you get hit at the goal line and you fumble. All right, it sucks, but things do happen. Um, but you should never run in un un like untouched and just drop the ball. Like that should just be ingrained in you is you cross the goal line completely. Then once you're firmly in there and you see the referee with both hands in the air and you're clearly beyond the goal line, then you drop the ball. It should just be, an absolute make sure after the first time that ever happened.
Remember when a Bear did that against the Steelers in 2017?
The one that always I'll never forget is oh man, what was his name on the Eagles? Saying I never forget. I were watching the play and just it was unreal. I was like, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe that. And the fact that it's happened multiple times just is mind numbing.
So, you know what else happened in that game? This crazy game. So that happened first, and then with 4 minutes and 42 seconds to go, whatever it was, 52 seconds, Cam Ward floats a pass. It gets picked off by a Cardinal. Cardinal falls and fumbles the ball, and then it rolls into the end zone, and the Titans land on it, and it's a touchdown.
I'm watching the highlights now. This is unreal. I wish this game would have been on TV because I would have watched it then. Because I ended up watching a big chunk of the Eagles game because that was on.
And they
And
lost. The Denver beat them.
yeah, they did. And it was funny because when I turned it off, I was like, oh man, Eagles are kicking their ass. Um, and then I was like, I'm done with this. And then I ran some errands, and then I came back and I was like, nah, nah.
Yeah, I just felt like the Eagles were due to lose one. As good as they are, I'm like, they got to lose a game at some
I mean,
point,
that
right?
offense is really sputtering, which is wild because they like I don't know what's going on. It's like there's the pocket's clean. They've got the receivers are getting open. They're moving the ball. They're just not scoring. But like I don't know what's happening there.
They just lollygagging. They just trying to coast to the playoffs. They trying to be the Chiefs. Just do just enough to win, and then you get the playoffs. And it's like, oh, time to turn it on.
Yeah, but you know how hard that is to do.
Oh, it's very hard to do. It's easier to do if you're the Chiefs when you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, but yes, it is. I'm not saying it should be done.
Yeah, I'm watching these highlights here. This is even before that happened, this game is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was an all-timer, an absolute all-timer. People are calling it one of the worst losses in NFL history.
That it can't be because Matt Eberflus isn't coaching this team.
Hey, Matt Eberflus's team has not lost two in a row. They've tied and they've won.
I did not watch any of that Cowboys Packers game. How the hell did that end up being a tie?
It was just scoring left and right, back and forth, back and forth. And the Packers were honestly lucky because the pass that was incomplete by Jordan Love at the end of overtime that stopped the clock to give him 1 second left to kick to tie, it was very close to having the clock completely run out. But hey, it was the battle of Eberflus's awful defense, his awful soft zone defense, and it was, I guess, Dak Prescott. You give him a lot of credit. Him and Pickens had a great night.
You know, Pickens Pickens is a really good wide receiver. He's just crazy. Like
Yeah.
like he like that's one of those um one of those players that he's good for a short time, not a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh my God. I'm watching this highlights. This is wild.
Isn't it? Yeah, I mean, hey, if we don't have any Bears to talk about, we might as well, enjoy some debauchery going on around the NFL.
And they almost missed the game-winning field goal.
Yeah. So
But
now, so the Jets are now the only
winless.
winless team in the NFL.
Yep.
So right
Uh
now they're in the driver's seat with a long time to go to get the number one overall pick.
yeah, well, there's a long way to go. I don't think the Jets are they're not good, but I don't think they're like just super dreadful. Um they're just not very good. They're gonna run into a few wins.
I wonder if they play the Bengals because I feel like they'd be good enough to beat the Bengals. Like, if you were to ask me right now who is the absolute worst team on paper, I'd be tempted to say the Bengals over the Jets, even though the Jets are not good.
I mean, let's see. The Jets play the Ravens before Lamar comes back, I think.
Oh, but look at the
Oh wait,
Ravens now
oh
with all
sorry,
the
sorry. I went a little
injuries.
too far down. So they got the Panthers. Panthers aren't very good. They got the Bengals in 2 weeks.
Oh, there
So
you
that'll
go.
be before Joe Burrow's back. So they could win that one. Then they get the Browns. Then they get the Patriots. Then the Ravens. And if the quarterback's not back for the Ravens, that team is terrible. That is the worst defense, and that's even with Lamar Jackson there. He's just masking that.
Did you
Um,
see their injury report? Like their entire defense is injured.
so here's where the Jets could jump right back into the not that bad category. This is their next schedule: Panthers, Bengals, Browns, Patriots, the Ravens, Falcons, Dolphins, Jaguars, Saints, Patriots.
Why can't we have that schedule?
I know, right?
God. So then we have to play the Commanders, and then we still have two games against the Packers. We have a game left against the Lions, a game against the Vikings. We got to play the Eagles. We got to play the 49ers. It's like, and we're probably going to be playing Lamar Jackson if he's healthy when we play the Ravens, whenever that is. It's like, geez.
It's so we got it's Commanders, Saints, then Ravens.
Right.
But then we get the Bengals.
Yeah. And
Then
they're
the
not going to have
Giants.
Joe Burrow.
They're not going to have Joe Burrow. I'm hearing December, and that's November 2nd. So it's like a month before he's supposed to be back.
And honestly, at that point, do you
Like,
even bother?
if they can't string together some wins, and that team just is bad. As long as you don't turn the ball over, like they can't score. You've got the Giants. They're not very good. I mean, they got beat pretty good by the Saints today.
They did.
Um, the Vikings, like, and that's a Jekyll and Hyde team.
Yeah. And is McCarthy going to be healthy? Is he going to be back? Is he going to be good? We don't know.
But the the Steelers, man, that team is the Steelers are like voodoo magic. That's not a good team, but they're winning games.
Well, that's what the Steelers do. I mean,
Uh,
that's what they do. They find ways to win. That's how Mike Tomlin rolls.
that's why they're gonna have so like people are man, Mike Tomlin can't win the big game because they never get bad enough to rebuild. He just
Right.
keeps them competitive, and it's really hard to go from mediocre to great. You have to, you have to, get some good draft picks. Then the Eagles, that's gonna then here the Eagles Packers back to back is where you figure out what kind of team you are.
Yep.
Then you get a
That,
breathe.
yes.
Here's a three game stretch is Eagles and Packers twice, or a 4 game stretch. Eagles Packers twice.
Ugh.
Then 49ers Lions.
Now, long way to go before that, so we'll see what happens. A lot can change.
Ugh, ugh. Um, did you watch the Lions game today?
No.
During the broadcast, they made a comment, and I don't know if that's they meant how it sounded, but they sort of insinuated that the offense uh is better without Ben Johnson. And I'm like, that's just silly. He built this offense.
Right.
He built this offense. They're just because they're well, they have the players out at some point. Like it's Ben Johnson built this offense. You should be thanking him. Like, it's they're just running that guy's offense. And when it push comes to shove, eventually when you don't have the architect of that offense, it's gonna get exposed. When you can't just impose your will on everybody else.
Right. Yeah,
I mean,
and I mean, think about it too, is I'm not taking away from what they're doing, but you know,
no.
when you have the pieces that they have, like you said, Ben Johnson built that offense. You helped shape that roster together and build a philosophy. And Ben Johnson's the reason why Jared Goff is where he is right now. I mean, Sean McVay was done with him.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, we saw week 1 against the Packers, they couldn't do anything. And it's the
Right.
same offense. It's not like they just the light switch went on for week 2. It's they played lesser opponents. Without Ben Johnson, orchestrating it all, they're and I don't want this to sound like Ben Johnson's the only reason they're good. They're a talented team. I mean, Jared Goff went number 1 overall for a reason. Amon-Ra St. Brown is really good. That offensive line is really good. Their tight end is really good. Their running back 1-2 combo is really good. They got a really talented team, and they're running the same offense. It's really good. But when push comes to shove and a defense is being stout, it's the difference. That's the
Mhm.
difference.
Yes.
That's where Ben Johnson comes in.
Yes.
Um, I saw online, and I don't know when this was from, but I saw an interview with Doug Peterson. They were talking about the kick
Oh yeah, I saw this too.
and where the special teams coordinator was like, hey, look at the stats of Cody Parkey from the first kick versus after the timeout. It is like half. And so he's like, all right, I'll call timeout. And he's like, I knew Cody Parkey was going to miss that. And sure as shit, that's Cody Parkey.
Hmm.
That You know how many times we've seen things like that where at later on it comes out that the Bears were like Oh, we knew this was going to happen. Like, remember the Super Bowl? After the Super Bowl? Oh yeah, we knew what those plays were going to be. We knew what they were going to do before they did it, and it made me want to vomit. It's one thing if
Well,
you
that was last year, remember with the block kick against Green
the,
Bay at home?
the block kick, the double doink, the Super Bowl versus the Colts.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
I mean they knew exactly what was coming.
yeah, it's one thing if you get beat. That thing that happens. It sucks. It
Yep.
hurts. But when you get beat because you were so predictable that the other team just knew what you were going to do before you did it, and so they just called plays to stop it, like geared to stop that. Like that's just mind-boggling.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, it's happened so many times with this team. I mean, our guys have been read like books. They're showing their cards. Do you remember that season in 2018? Like we talk about not only being read, but like foreshadowing. Do you remember in 2018, what was it, 4 or 5 times Cody Parkey hit iron against, it
Yeah,
was a win against the Lions. They scored a bunch of points, so it didn't matter in that game, but he, what, 4 or 5, it was like on field goals and miss extra
extra points.
points.
Hmm.
He was hitting the uprights over and over again. You remember that?
I do.
Do you remember
Yep,
when they basically made Cody Parkey go and practice kicks at Soldier Field?
I do.
And there was like a drone or a helicopter, a news helicopter or something going over Soldier Field, and they had a video image of Cody Parkey all alone just kicking field goals. It was like the perfect foreshadowing of what was to come. The other thing that sucked was, you remember in the double doink, the first kick that got iced, he nailed it.
Yep.
Absolutely nailed it right down the middle.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm tired of that happening to us. But we could say last week it was the opposite. Remember what I think it was in a post-game interview on Marquee with Jeff Joniak. Blackwell was talking with Jeff Joniak, and he was saying how the long snapper came over to him and said, "Hey, notice before they kick, they move the ball." So they were able to read that and get that block. So finally, it worked in our favor.
And you know that was true because if you watch, look how by the time the person next to Blackwell is across the line, or I mean, once he makes his move, look where Josh Blackwell is. He
Hmm.
got such a jump on that. There was there was no stopping him.
He was completely untouched.
Yeah. Yep. So we're in the bye this week. We've got a even another day there because it's a Monday night football next game next week. Um, it makes you wonder what's happening at Hallis Hall, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to work on. Um, because there's even though this team is on a 2 game winning streak, they're still not very good so far.
No, there's a lot of things to work on, and we saw last week a lot of the things that went wrong in the game before they were able to squeak out the win against the Raiders. Obviously, the run game is a big issue. Trying to
Yep.
find ways to get more running yards and just better runs in general. And then the defensive line, obviously stopping the run. Injuries are a part of that, no doubt, but that's something that does have to be addressed.
Yep. And I mean, about the running game, you're right. In the first 4 games, they're averaging 3.8 yards a carry as a team. And in the last game, they were 2.7. That's
Really
bad.
awful.
And
Really awful.
and Joe Tooney has been terrible at run blocking. Terrible. Um, so if you look at the expected yards per carry behind him, it's worse than I mean, it's bad. Um, the O line. What's the O line going to look like in the next game against Washington?
Right. I mean, what's Darnell Wright's status going to be?
What's Darnell Wright's status going to be? And what is Braxton Jones benched, or did he just get a slap on the wrist and he'll be back in his starting spot? I don't know. I don't think we know yet what Ben Johnson is thinking because I don't think he's seen this before with the Lions. Um, I don't know. That's, you know, we'll find out in a few days, but uh, if we see the Canadian Eagle out there at left tackle, it's a good sign because Braxton Jones was not injured. And I don't know if his slow start is because he was injured. I mean, the tough thing is, I'm not saying this would have made him better, but it didn't help anything. When you finish the season healthy and you're healthy all off season, you can put in that work to get better. And really, the most work that Braxton Jones needed was he needed to get a better power base. It's been since day one, since he came in the NFL. He needs a better power base. You can't work on getting stronger if you can't work out.
Right.
And
I think this offseason really the injury really took a toll.
I wonder, he's not going to be a Bear next year. I can almost guarantee that. I wonder if whoever signs him is going to get a better version of him because he's, potentially going to have a healthy offseason and be able to work on some of those things. But you expect Theo Benedette, there's a good chance Theo Benedette stays at that left tackle spot. And the question is Darnell Wright. And based on Ozzy Trapillo playing well on that right side, do you say take your time getting healthy, Darnell Wright? Don't rush back. You know?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a small sample in the last game, but we talked about the difference when Aji Trapillo came in and they kind of shuffled things around. The protection for Caleb was much, much better in that second half when those adjustments were made. But again, it's a small sample size. It is. So it's hard for me to say, well, I know this is going to work permanently going forward. On the other hand, I'm not convinced that Braxton Jones is hurt. I think he got the bench. I really do believe that.
Oh, he did. He definitely did. He wasn't, yeah, there was no injury. He just got yanked. I just don't know if he's going to get put back in and given his starting spot back, or like, we benched you for, you know, the 2.5 quarters, and then you get the bye to work back with your starting role, or
Right,
if it's a nope, sorry, you lost your spot until Theo loses it.
right,
I mean,
right.
it was pretty clear uh in at the end of preseason that Ben Johnson didn't like the way the left tackle uh competition played out. And he said there was going to be, you know, uh somebody would get a quick hook if they were not playing well, and they did.
Well,
So,
and they didn't beat around the bush. They were pretty forward with the media when they were talking about their disappointment and how things were going on the offensive line, particularly the left side. And that's why we were speculating so many different things in the offseason. Is it going to be Braxton Jones? Is it going to be Ozzy Trapillo? How are they going to mix and match this? We just didn't know for the longest time. And it was pretty clear that there was no answer at the end of camp. They just had to go with what they had and then evaluate from there. So the good thing is that when they made those adjustments during the last game and they saw some results is you have 2 weeks to evaluate this. It's not like, okay, you played that game, you have a few days to practice and then you go with it. You got 2 weeks to try to see, at Hallis Hall what you're getting from those guys and how you could potentially move forward with it.
yeah, and that's the thing is I'm curious of how it's going to look. Um, if anything you tell me won't surprise me. If you tell me Darnell Wright's back and healthy and Braxton Jones got a spot back, okay, I won't, I wouldn't question your, I don't know, I'd love it, but I wouldn't be surprised if you told me that it was Trapillo and Benedette. I wouldn't be shocked if you told me it was Braxton and Trapillo. I wouldn't be surprised. And if you told me it was Darnell Wright and Theo Benedette, I wouldn't be. None of those combinations would surprised me because I don't know if we know who's going to be the best combination, and I don't know the tolerance of Ben Johnson for O line play at this point.
Yeah, now I'd be really shocked personally if Darnell Wright wasn't in there and he was healthy. I feel like he would have to be not healthy or questionable to not even be considered. But then again, you look at what could happen in camp at Hallis Hall on in practices and whatnot, and things could be different. I don't know. I would just be surprised if they took him out if he was healthy.
Oh,
Because,
I mean that my yeah, I agree with that.
yeah,
I don't know if he's going to be I don't know the degree of that elbow
yeah,
injury
right,
because he
right.
looked like he was in a lot of pain, and I
It
don't
looks
know
bad.
if it was like hyperextended or if it was uh you know bone chip on the elbow or if it well, I don't know what it was. And if it's something that is just painful and he can just play through it, or if it's an actual injury that needs surgery, I have no idea. It's
Right.
we have not heard. So if he's healthy, I expect him to get that spot back. I just I don't know if they're going to just because Trapillo in a small sample size did play well.
Hmm.
Um, and if if you want Darnell Wright to be 100%, then you've got somebody in there that's playing or that's in a small sample size played well. Why not let him have that time to heal up? I just don't know
Right.
the degree of it. So I expect him to be back when he's healthy enough to play. I just don't know when that is.
Yeah, maybe we'll find out more this week. We might get some news, we might get some updates that are more clear, or they might be kind of keeping it more hush hush. We don't know. We'll see. But what I'm curious to find out is going forward after this bye, let's say Kyler Gordon's ready, he comes back. Let's say TJ Edwards is healthy and he comes back. Let's say Austin Booker is healthy and he comes back. Like, if you get those three guys back on your defense, how different is it going to look? Because you look at those three guys alone, having your nickel, your star nickel, is going to make a huge difference in a number of areas. And
Your star nickel slash best blitzer.
yeah, yes, a team that we want to see get a little more pressure on the quarterback, especially. And then TJ Edwards is one of your best tacklers, and we've seen the run just gash you in. I mean, and it's not just, oh, they're just finding big holes. It's that you look at the line and you look at your linebackers, with the injuries and what you're lacking is go look back at that Dallas game. And it's not like it was all just, hey, here's a wide open hole for you to run in. It's like, wow, the opposing backs are just bowling over you guys. You're getting outmanned and outmatched. They are pushing you back. So that's where you want to see a healthier defense kind of strengthen that area up. Because that, I think, is one of the biggest problems with the run defense. You're just getting run over.
Yeah. I mean, it is even when you're making the tackle, they're falling forward for 4, 5, 6 yards.
Exactly.
Is
That makes all the difference in the world.
you've got to make contact at the line of scrimmage or 1 yard is get some of those stops is it's a huge difference 2nd and 9 versus 2nd and 4 or 5.
Exactly. And think about it too is, sure, you've been able to get a few stops where you're able to get past the line of scrimmage and tackle them for a loss, but if they're getting past the line of scrimmage, chances are they're extending a few more yards, and that could be the difference between 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, or a first down even.
I mean, and also think about this is if you pick up 5 on a first down run, 2nd and 5. Okay. Now the entire playbook is open. Is you can go take a shot down the field and you still have 3rd down to get a 3rd and medium. Like 3rd and 5 is not a big deal.
Hmm.
You could take that big shot. You could run the ball. You can pass the ball, medium, short. Like the whole playbook is open to you. If it's 2nd and 9, The expectation is probably some sort of pass. Even if it's a screen pass or dump off, it's probably going to be a pass. It, uh, and you're probably not, unless you're one of those super aggressive, really good teams, you're probably not taking a big shot down the field because then suddenly if you don't hit that, you're in third and long. Um, you, when you can stop them on first down, it changes it starts shrinking that playbook. You can focus on, all right, well, this is what we think they do. This is what we think the plays are. And it's not the whole playbook. It is just a truncated version. And you know the tendencies of these teams because you're watching film. And that's how your defense gets better. Stop them on first down. Don't give up
Yeah.
those long, those carries where they pick up 3 yards after contact.
And think about this too, is if they're able to move the ball on you via the run, is that allows the opposing team to do the play action pass in a number of different opportunities. Because, if you're trying to gear up for a run, you think they're going to run, but then they do a play action pass, well, then you could be caught way off guard because it's like, well, they keep gashing us in. We got to be prepared to stop this run because they're going to keep doing it. Oh, it's play action. They're going to be passing. That opens up the field if you're not, in your right position. So stopping the run is just so important on so many different levels.
Right. So having TJ Edwards in there, I'm not going to say it solves the issue, but should make it better.
Yeah, whenever you can get one of your better tacklers in, because we saw last week against the Raiders, we saw missed tackles.
Yeah,
That's something
absolutely.
that that's going to drive Dennis Allen crazy. Now, the Bears, they play hard. I will never question, except against the Lions, but I think that they kicked their ass enough, did Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen, that, you might get beat. You might get outmanned. You might get, just flat out crushed by somebody who's bigger and faster, but they play hard. It's some of the fundamentals, and it's just lacking in some of the areas. You need more pass rush because you need better pass rushers. You need to stop the run because you need guys that are better at stopping the run. And you're now without probably your best defender of all, Jalen Johnson, out for the year. But they're playing hard. I don't think that playing hard or not is the issue, but it doesn't mean you're not making big mistakes or you're not executing.
Right. Do you want to talk Cubs?
Yeah, lots to talk about here.
Yeah. Um, so game two in that Padres series showed a lot of the things that frustrated us throughout the season.
Hmm.
It was like it was a big summary of the entire season. I was like, I can't, it was so frustrating. And and then game three showed you why they got there. You're like, okay, look at the defense here. Look at the defense. And um and you're like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good after this. I would say most Cubs fans after beating the Padres probably felt pretty good.
Yeah, sure.
Um Game one against Milwaukee was just a complete and utter meltdown.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll talk about the Padres series, obviously, but yeah, I mean, game one. Look, I've defended Craig Counsell all year. I think he gets way too much criticism at times and hate, but I do think that going with Matt Boyd, who was already gassed on short rest, was just not the right call. And I know it's hard because you're without Justin Steele, as you've been without him all year. You are without arguably your very best pitcher of all, Cade Horton. I don't think you're not going to see him again pitch this year. I think that's pretty clear. Is even if they do get past this series, I don't think he's coming back. But you're without him, and it's like, okay, there's Boyd on short rest. You're obviously not going to throw Shota in game one because he pitched in game two, and Jamison Tyone just pitched a gem in game three.
Yeah.
You're not
It,
going to throw him. The
Yeah,
right decision, in my opinion, would have been Colin Ray. That's who I would have thrown out there.
yeah. I mean, I posted this as a comment and tagged you, and I was like, do you go Assad? And you're like, oh, maybe Ray. I'm like, those are both, options there. I think that was the right move because then it just sets you up with everybody getting full rest. And I know Boyd only pitched what 58 pitches the last time he was out. He didn't pitch that much, but um it like he's still on short rest.
He's on short rest. And again, we've seen him kind of wear down as the season goes. And
Yeah. Oh
let's be
yeah.
real, he had nothing yesterday.
Yeah. And the way you look at it too is if you start Ray or you start Assad or you start somebody, you do a bullpen game, whatever it is, if you do that in game one and you lose, like, okay, then, but they, they really could with the spacing of all of the other games, you could just do, uh, Tyone, Shota, and Boyd for the rest of the series. Okay, well, I feel pretty good on with everybody getting the rest and pitching the rest of the way with those guys. I feel good about that, and you can just chalk up that loss. But when your game one starter, who's your all-star, just gets blown up and doesn't make it out of the first, that sets a bad tone.
It does. Now, here's the good news. Aaron Savale and Ben Brown ate those innings. So you didn't have to use Brad Keller. You didn't have to use Caleb Thielbar. You didn't have to use Drew Pomeranz. You didn't have to use Danny Palencia. So you saved those arms. And the other nice thing is, I don't know how the rest of the series is going to go, but you lose game one, 1-0. You lose game one, 20-0. It's a game one loss no matter what. And it makes it easier to swallow when you were able to not have to burn pitchers of greater importance. Not to say that
Yeah.
Aaron Savali couldn't have served a role in this series or even Ben Brown, but again, your bullpen worked its ass off in that Padres series, and they did a phenomenal job. It was such a great effort from that pitching staff against an elite lineup with elite players in Machado and Tatis and Luis Ariz and Jackson Merrill. That Padres team is stacked, and
Oh,
your
it is
pitching did
stacked.
it's one of the best teams on paper, top to bottom.
Yeah. And even the game you lost, like you did not let their offense take control.
No,
You were limited by your offense sputtering.
yeah, you had 4 hits, no runs, and Dylan Cease owns them. Like, let's be real, Dylan Cease just flat out owns them. And even if Dylan Cease didn't have that great of a year, you know what Dylan Cease is capable of. He throws nasty stuff. And like you said, it was a 3-0 game. Really, the mistake was Shota pitching to Manny Machado, because as soon as I saw that Shota was staying in against Manny, or they weren't putting him on, I'm like, oh no. And then sure enough, bam. But outside that, you limited the Padres to what? 2 runs outside of that in
Yeah.
games one and three. Yes, they got a little lucky with that strike call in the ninth inning. I get that that was a ball.
Yeah, but Nico Horner was also safe.
I agree. Nico
I,
Horner looked safe on that replay to me.
yeah. So for anybody that wants to use that as an excuse, it's Nico Horner was safe. So it's that was a close ball strike. It's not like it was a mile outside. It was close. Um, and you've when it's the ninth inning, sorry, you had 8 other innings to try to score a run, and you've got to protect the plate. That ninth inning, you better protect that plate. If it's close, you better foul it off. You can't trust that the strike zone's just going to be magic and work in your favor.
Yeah, and I'll say this too is when you look at how that series went down, it was so many close plays. I mean, how many reviews were there in game three? There were a ton of them.
Yeah.
And, it goes to show postseason baseball, sometimes winning or losing a series is by literal inches.
I mean,
Literal inches. It's
look
cruel and unforgiving.
look at how close that series was between those two teams for the whole season.
Yeah.
It was an even series going into game 3 of that playoff series.
Yes. Yeah, I mean it was the epitome of the matchup because they split 3-3 the season series in the regular season.
Yep.
And
And
there were several games that came down to the wire.
yeah, it was two really evenly matched teams playing each other. So I'm glad the Cubs won. And this Brewer series is far from over, but uh, it's they won that Padres series. It was a hard fought one. They didn't. It wasn't an ass kicking. It was a hard fought series, and they pulled it out. And I think, I think just winning that series showed a lot of growth for young players.
Sure. And I think that what was key in game three, among many things, one of the biggest keys was Pete Crow Armstrong. Because in games one and two, he looked lost. He could not hit anything with a paddle. But then in game three, what did he do? He went 3 for 4 with an RBI single
And some great defense.
and some great defense. I mean, let's be real. Defense won that series because Dansby Swanson stole how many runs?
Oh yeah, Dansby was that glove. Like, do you remember the old NBA Jam game, or
Of
where you hit
course.
like three in a row, and then the ball's on fire, and then you hit everything? Um, that's what his glove was like in Fuego. He just, anything that came near it just like vacuumed into his glove. It was, that was a clinic what he did in the field.
Yeah. Nico, too.
Nico too. That whole center of that middle of that defense was was spectacular, and it's what won the series.
Yeah, I mean, you robbed Luis Arise multiple times. You robbed Jackson Merrill. You robbed Ryan O'Hearn twice in game one, the over the shoulder catch and then the smash on the ground. Both those plays were with runners at third. So those would have been run scoring plays. Those are huge because those two plays kept them in it with a 1-0 game, and then Seiya and Carson Kelly hit the back-to-back bombs. So that was just a clinic of, okay, the Padres had some opportunities. You kept them at bay. You kept the door open. And then you took advantage. Now in game three, what was frustrating about game three is the Cubs had a lot of traffic on base. And they could have scored 6 or 7 runs easily that game. It was enough. You did enough in the end, but it could have easily not been enough. So you're going to need the offense to play a little better going forward here, obviously. I mean, they are striking out quite a bit. And that's one thing I think that's concerns me a little bit against the Brewers because we see the Brewers just put the bat on every ball while the Cubs are missing on a lot of pitches.
Yeah, the Brewers are going to put the ball in play, and they're going to push your defense to make errors. And the Cubs did make errors.
Yes, it won very uncharacteristically by Nico.
Um, so it's just you gotta go up goldfish memory and move on to game 2. Is it sucks. It sucks. It would have been nice to have game 1, put the pressure on Milwaukee, but it's you've only got to steal one on the road.
Well, and I even said going to the series, split in Milwaukee. You split in Milwaukee, you set yourself up decently. But so tomorrow, most people are gonna be listening to this. The game is gonna be tonight, or the game is happening, or this is a day later, whatever. But speaking as someone recording on Sunday night, tomorrow's game, game two, it's not an elimination game, but I feel like you have to get it.
Yeah, and the way it's setting up, you know, uh it's sounding like Jackson Churio might not play, um, which is good for the Cubs. And Milwaukee's going with an opener.
Well,
Uh,
you got to take advantage.
you got to take advantage. So you've got to clean up and play your stout brand of defense. Even if they try to push things with their base running and putting the ball in play, you've got to just you've got to be Ivan Drago and ice water in your veins and just make those plays.
Yes.
Make those plays, and uh, that's just how you're gonna win. Is
And
stout
Shota,
defense.
we need Shota to lock in because he's not been good recently. And I know he's capable of being good. We know this. But it's
We
a
need
little
Shota.
nerve-wracking.
We need Shota to stunt on them hoes,
Yeah, that would
as the
that would
kids
be
say.
great.
As the
That would
kids
be
say.
great. You sounded so old saying that. Stunt on
Uh,
them hoes.
uh, where do the children go hang out these days?
Sean Hotman showing up with his slushy and his skateboard.
My backwards hat that said "Go School."
You get on the skateboard, you slip and you eat shit and you just fall.
Uh, yeah, this series is far from over. The Brewers have not. This isn't the Brewers. That was like a juggernaut. They've there's been holes in their game. At the end of the season, they sputtered a little bit. That not saying they're bad by any. They didn't. They're not the Mets at the end of the year, but they showed that they are not a juggernaut. And you've got to remember that when you're the Cubs, be like, yeah, they're not. We can beat them. We did beat them in the regular season. We can do this. And if you take game two, you've got to feel pretty confident because you just a home field advantage.
Yeah, so huge game. Huge game. So if you win that, then having two at Wrigley Field, you feel much better. But if you don't win, your back is pretty much against the wall. Because even if you win the next two at Wrigley, it would mean a winner take all in Milwaukee. And that's with Freddie Peralta, I don't know. That's going to be pretty tough.
Yep. But take it day by day. It's
Yep.
uh it's it's a best of five. You've gotta go in there game by game, and you've got some time in between and take advantage of, like, the Dodgers Philly series. Those travel days, you're traveling all the way across the country. This one,
Uh-huh.
you're traveling 90 minutes down 94. It's uh
Yeah.
it's a whole different ball game. I mean,
Very different.
if they wanted to, everybody could sleep in their own beds and, you know, get on the team bus in the morning. Like, not they're doing that, but you could. It's
Oh,
it's 90 it's
absolutely.
90 minutes. So that travel day is not that big of a deal. It is just giving you an extra rest. Stay same time zone, 90 minutes away. It is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Take advantage of that.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like to mention too is with the games starting later on Monday night and having the last game at 1 o'clock on Saturday, you're getting more than a day's rest before you have to play. So that's good. And the fact that, again, you're in Milwaukee, you didn't have to travel to California. So hopefully they can just recoup and be fully ready to go here.
Yeah,
Because,
I mean,
think about it. The Brewers played their first game of the postseason on Saturday. The Cubs had to really grind it out and put a lot of energy to beat the Padres.
true. Um, it's take advantage. I'm not gonna lie. I like this this format of the postseason.
Oh, with
Uh,
the 3-game wild card?
the 3 game wild card. but there's no days off. It's all three in the one city. I think I think that's I think the problem with the wild card previously was it didn't give enough of an advantage to the team that ended up getting a bye. Um, the better regular season, it didn't give them enough of an advantage. I think a best of three series, um, gives more of an advantage to the team that did well in the regular season. Um, so I kind of like it. It's more baseball too.
It is more baseball. And, one of the things about the one game wild card was I felt like baseball was trying to replicate the magic and the epicness of the game 163. And it just didn't, it wasn't the same. Sure, you had a few wild card games that were memorable, but a lot of them weren't. And it just didn't have that same game 163 feel that I think they were hoping to have.
Yeah, I liked this 3 game wild card series. I like it. Um, and I'm hoping the ratings show that. And I think the series were good. Other than the Dodgers Cincinnati, where I was a little shocked to be honest with you. I thought that would be much more competitive. Um, but man, Dodgers just kicked the ever living shit out of them. But the rest of the other series were all really good.
Yeah, they were. They were. I mean, the Cubs Padres series was great. You had the really good Yankees Red Sox series where that was 3 games, and that was a great atmosphere in New York with all the Red Sox and the Yankees fans both in the same area. You know how raunchy those can get and how hyped those can get. That was a really good series. And then, like you said, with the Dodgers and the Reds. I thought that the Reds, with their pitching, could give themselves a little bit more of a chance in a potential postseason series. But I also think, too, the Dodgers might just be showing you that no matter how beatable they look in the regular season, kind of like they did last year, like the Chiefs, like the Miami Heat of the LeBron days, they can kind of just coast somewhat. And once they get to the playoffs and do just enough, they could turn it on.
They're
Because right
that
now the
that
the
lineup
Dodgers
is
are
so
the
good.
yeah, the Dodgers are looking like the billion-dollar team that they built in the offseason.
Yeah, they're just mashing the ball.
Like Teoscar Hernandez is hitting again. And with Shohei Ohtani hitting and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, it's scary. Now their bullpen has really struggled this year, but if you're slugging and your starting pitching is doing what it's supposed to do, well, then you can hide some of those warts when it's that good.
Yeah, I think you can when you just put so much pressure on the other team with that lineup. There's not an escape. Like it's there's high leverage every inning.
Yeah, and even when you're at the bottom of the order where you're like, okay, it's not nearly as good, you can't make like any mistakes because it's like, well, if you make mistakes and you let some of these guys on, you're gonna have to face Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts again with guys on.
Yeah, and Shohei has been locked in this postseason.
Yeah, he's destroying everything in sight.
I mean, m- Aaron Judge had the better regular season,
Yes.
flat out, hands down. But Shohei in the postseason is just another beast. Like he's just next level.
Yeah, and I know sometimes it's overrated and cliche, but I really do believe that while Aaron Judge might go down as one of the absolute best players ever for good reason, I would also go to say if it came down to Game 7 of the World Series, final at bat, and you had to choose between Shohei or Judge, I'm taking Shohei 10 times out of 10. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, there's one more thing I want to say because it's the last series we didn't discuss. The Guardians Tigers series was good.
Yes.
I liked that they were division rivals. That series at any point, if I the Tigers were the better team watching I watched that whole series. Um, and they were the better team, but I thought the Guardians could have snatched it away from them.
They could have. They could have. Now, I would argue that on paper, kind of to your point, the Tigers are much, much better. I mean, the Guardians at one point, like, didn't they lose like 10 or some in a row? Their offense was
Hmm.
dreadful. They weren't
Oh
really
yeah.
doing anything. They didn't buy at the deadline. They got insanely hot at the right time. You want to talk about devil magic? I swear, man, Cleveland is the devil magic team of the AL. They just find ways to succeed. It's pretty amazing.
But there's a player on the Tigers, and I don't wish him ill will, but I made a comment. I don't remember if it was on, must have been on Instagram. Um, I'm sorry, on Twitter. S- Somebody was just talking about how awesome Javi was and what an amazing year, and he's back, and this is the Javi that, the Cubs had. And I was like, I don't want to, yuck anybody's yum here, but um it, the guy has been dreadful the previous couple seasons. This is a long season. Come talk to me in late September, early October. And then it would pop up July. Oh, look how good he is. And just like bump up the thread. And I'm like, again, come talk to me in at the end of the season. August come. Oh, look how good he is. Bump the thread again. Or, recomment again. I would like to feel vindicated here. He finished the season with a 680 OPS
He did fall off.
with 12 home runs. 12 home runs and a 680 OPS. I, I I would not call that a stellar season.
Although you do have to admit, so far in the postseason, he's looked really good.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's bad, and I don't wish him ill will at all. I'm just saying is the the previous seasons, 2022 was a 671
Oh
OPS.
yeah, he was awful.
2023, 593. 2024, 516. You don't just go from 671 to 593 to 516 to 880. Like that's not what happens. It's the you're gonna find the mean. And 680 compared to those last three seasons is an improvement. It's still not good. It's below average.
No, no.
I mean, when you go to 2021, he had an 886, 775, 2021. Um, I'm sorry, 2021 with the Cubs, 775, 886 with the Mets. 847 in 2019, 881 in 2018, 796 in 2017. If they would have continued from there, yeah, I wouldn't have doubted it. But the fact that um he had the last three seasons that were dreadful, I was not confident he was going to finish the season like that. And yeah, he's so far so good in the playoffs, but again, I don't wish him ill will or anything. I did want to point out to somebody that they were celebrating a little early.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, hey, good for him for his good moments, but I'm not going to sit here and stew about not having him. I mean, there's a big difference between like what Javier Baez has done and what like Kyle Schwarber has done. A huge difference.
Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, that's a guy where you're like, damn, I wish we had him.
Yeah.
Like, if there is truly one that got away from that last era, it's him.
Yeah, but I know why we got rid of him. It was it was one of those frustrating. And maybe we use this as a segue is uh, you know, like we look at Lucas Reichel is like, oh man, I know what kind of talent he has, and we've seen bursts here and there, but uh like he's not shown enough to give him a contract. So do we trade him and then risk him just figuring it out and being a good player that we lost out on when we were bad? or do we keep him and keep trying to develop him? And, Schwarber, struggled at times and wasn't doing, I mean, he wasn't doing what he's doing in Philly here. Had all the tools and we had seen moments, but had never put it together like that.
No, I know. And that's one thing I'll say too, is he was given every chance to hit that ceiling that we hope he saw. And he had good seasons. He had plenty of moments. He was great in the postseason, but he reached his prime in Philadelphia.
Yeah. And I'm happy for him and I'm happy it worked out. I didn't want him to be, like a just a mediocre player. I'm glad he's an elite player. It just would have been nice to have him on the Cubs.
Yeah,
And it's one of those things that sucks about sports is people can't put a complete picture together. Everything's a knee-jerk reaction. Oh, can't believe the
right.
Cubs got rid of this guy. Because we didn't get rid of the Kyle Schwarber that exists today or that exists since he's been with Philadelphia. It was a different version of Kyle Schwarber.
Right, exactly. I mean, hindsight's always 2020, and there are moves that make sense at the time that don't end up working. There are moves that don't make sense and then end up working. And then there's moves where it's like, this doesn't make sense, and it still doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Like that one, I think everybody was ready to move on. I think most fans probably not ready to run him out of town, but were we ready to pay him a lot of money? I
I
don't
mean,
think
the
so.
guy signed a 1 year deal after we let him go. Like, he had to kind of reprove himself.
Yeah. And if you're a superstar, you're not signing the 1 year deal unless that's what you want. And that's not what he wanted.
Yeah, well, guess what? He is going to get a lot of money this offseason,
Yeah.
wherever he goes.
Yep. Um, should we wrap this up talking a little Blackhawks? We haven't
Sure.
talked about them in a while.
No?
Uh, you know, we we sort of know what this team looks like for the roster. Um, Vlasic, Kaczynski, Oliver Moore, Nolan Allen all got sent down to Rockford. Um, they signed Matt Grzelcyk to a 1 year deal.
Only 1 million, right? It was pretty cheap.
Yeah, it was pretty cheap. Um, Lucas Reichel, they were apparently shopping, but they've kept him for now. Uh, any surprises on that roster?
Not particularly. I was wondering if Ollie Moore had a chance to make the roster because he's been pretty impressive in preseason, but it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm so shocked he didn't make the roster, and it's absolute tragedy that he didn't. They feel like he needs some time to work a little bit in Rockford, so be it. But I thought maybe he had a chance to make it.
I thought so too, but I'm not up in arms. I'm not, getting my pitchforks out and um, I think he'll be up at some point this season, but it's not going to hurt him to get a little more seasoning down there. Um, uh, the Lucas Reichel, um, they were talking about giving him a fresh start somewhere else, and I don't know if they wanted something significant and nothing materialized. I can't see where nobody wanted him. Like, if they were going to get, basically give him away, I would be shocked if nobody took him. But they must have wanted something of value in return because he's still here, or they weren't serious about shopping him. They were just seeing his value.
Yeah, I
But
think it was more of a tire kicking.
yeah, he's here. Um, yeah, I mean, nothing terribly shocking.
No, no. I mean, there wasn't, even with all the prospects that you have and the farm system that you have, there wasn't a much room for there to be a bunch of shocking things, honestly. I mean, we know the veterans that are going to be on this team. we know the kids that are already going to be on the roster. Like, obviously some of your main guys that you've had up, whether they're veterans, younger, experienced, whatever, it's pretty obvious who is going to make your biggest spots. I mean, even in goaltending, you knew who your goaltenders were going to be.
Yeah. Yep.
There's just kind of some of those fringe areas and some of the questions on a few of your prospects, but pretty much a lot of the others. Frank Nazar is going to be part of this. Connor Bedard's going to be the center of your team. You're going to have your veterans that like Nick Foligno that's going to be there. You're going to be paying decent amount of money to Teuvo Teravainen and some of your other veteran guys like, oh, what's his face?
Bertuzzi.
Bertuzzi, thank you. I'm just, I'm curious to see in this season how the offense looks. Are you going to be able to generate more chances? Are you
That's my
going to be
hope.
more fundamentally sound? Those are two big things that I'm looking for.
That's the hope. Uh, you know, I I want to see like a big jump in one of the areas, whether that be defense to, in front of the goaltending, and you become a stout team that, you may, even if you're not good, you're not getting blown out, you're keeping in games because of good defense and good goalkeeping. Or the offense takes a big jump and you're able to stay in games with just sheer numbers of goals. And I feel like you're probably closer to the former than the latter. I just don't see where sustained offense is in here unless Connor Bedard takes a huge jump.
So, okay, I mean, let's say you're looking at some of your best case scenarios here. Connor Bedard does take a big jump. You get a nice consistent performance from Frank Nazar. I mean, those right there are going to be huge in terms of generating scoring chances and getting more goals. And then you got to also rely on the veterans like Bertuzzi and Teuvo Teravainen putting up their career numbers. You get 40, 50 points and 20, 25 goals from those guys. You can pretty much lock in, if they're healthy, you could pretty much lock in those types of numbers with those guys. You know who they are. But with the young kids, there's a lot to be had here. And I do think there is potential for Connor Bedard to take another step, but a lot of that is going to depend on the team around him. How are they going to help protect him? How are they going to help generate scoring chances around him? Like it's for Bedard to break out, there's got to be more things happening around him as well. It's on him, but it's also on the team, it's on the system, it's how they're able to get to work because let's face it, Connor Bedard uses skill and speed to move around. He's not going to outmuscle guys. He's going to be a target by the other team's bigger, more physical players to try to take him out of the game, and you're going to need the rest of your team to help counter that.
Right. Yeah, so I'm excited for the season to start. Uh, I don't have high expectations or anything.
I just want to see an improved club. I want to see more scoring. I want to see a bigger step going forward with the team. I want to see more competitive hockey, and I want to see a better fundamentally sound team. And this isn't just about penalty discipline. This is about setting up right in the zone. This is about finishing your checks. This is about better passes. This is about better ice awareness because I think it really, really got lazy at times over the past few years when it could have been better. Even if you're not a talented enough team to win a lot of games, at least be fundamentally sound. You could be fundamentally sound and not skilled enough to win a lot. There's a difference, I think.
yeah, I think the the Athletic had them um predicted at 70 points, which is a significant jump from last year. They were 61. Um, but that's still not very good.
No, and you can't expect very good. But if you would have told me at the end of the year they'd have 76 points, I'd say, you know what? That's a step forward that we can really get behind.
If they get 76 points, they're still going to be really bad, and they're still going to be picking um a really good player in the draft. But that you're right, that is a huge step forward. They would still be 76 points would be the worst team in the Eastern Conference last year.
Yeah.
And it would be, I mean, obviously you'd be better than yourself. Uh, Worse than 76 last year was the Predators, Blackhawks, Sharks, and the Kraken were at 76. And there was two Bruins were 76, Flyers were 76. So that would still be bad. You'd still get a really good draft pick. Um, I
But what, they
mean,
had 61 points last year?
yeah. So 76 would be a big jump.
That's a swing.
Yeah, and I would be very happy at that. That would just put you at regular old bad, instead of super
Right. Like
bad.
if you get 76 points and you lose a number of competitive games, there's a lot of context that obviously goes with it,
Yeah.
but that's what you're
Test.
hoping for.
Eyeball
Yes.
test as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, 76 points still puts you probably at a top five or four, five, or six pick. Uh, so you're still getting a significant player, but that's a big improvement.
Yeah. And, one thing to consider too is if you look like an improved team, think about all the teams around you. Now, there's a lot of bad rebuilding teams in the West, but think about how top heavy the West is when you have a number of really, really good teams up there, both in
Hmm.
your division and just in the conference in general.
Yeah. I just the bad part about if they're drafting five or six is I don't know when the draft comes around, I won't know those players. I'll be like, I don't know any of those. When they're drafting one or two, maybe even three, I'm like, okay, I've seen those players. After that, I don't know. They're drafting some 17-year-old kid from Czechoslovakia, and I don't know who they are.
Gorsk or Gorsk.
Yeah, this kid, he's a center and a right winger from Hugenflugen.
See, and here's the thing though, is I would love going forward to not have to worry about draft prospects. I want to look at this and say, here's where we are. Here's where we've grown. Here are the prospects that we have growing in our system already and where they've advanced since last year. I don't want to have to worry about upping that capital by having a really high draft pick. I want to just worry about the progress that we make at this point as an organization.
Well, we'll find out how things look on Thursday.
I can't believe already.
I know, right? Um,
They open it up against the Panthers, I believe.
against the Panthers.
And the Panthers, they just lost Barkov for the year. Did you see that?
No, it didn't.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was a torn MCL. It's something. It was a severe injury.
Ah, that's not good.
No,
I
I
mean,
mean they're on the quest to win three straight cups, and you lose one of your best players and your leader. That's tough.
yeah. I mean, better them than us, but that still sucks.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I want to see better hockey. I want to have more fun watching them. That's what I'm hoping for.
That is the sentence right there. I want to have more fun.
Hmm.
Is is I'm not saying losing is fun, but when when you're seeing exciting young players, the you don't always care about the wins and losses. It's you're like, oh man,
There's
like
bad and fun bad.
yeah, that like I I hope it's fun bad. It's not going to be good. They could have if they make one of the biggest jumps in off season history, they're still a top 10 pick in this draft. Like
Yeah,
that's how far gone they were last year. I just want them to go from oof bad to ooh bad.
that's a good way to put it.
Ugh. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I think I've said my piece.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. Help grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or Swerski_Sports_podcast on Instagram, or ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter/X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on planes.
Bears 31 to -7.
The Bears!
Oh, when the Bears go bearing down